Good morning, students. I welcome you all for the class. Today, in this session, we'll be going to discuss another important concept which is known as virtual memory. So, in the previous classes, we have seen different types of memories. You people are well known about main memory, you people are well aware of secondary memory, and cache memory also, you people are well aware of. Like this, we are having different types of memory. So, in this class, we are going to see another memory type which is known as virtual memory. So, first of all, let me tell you what do you mean by a virtual memory. Like virtual memory is a storage. As we are storing the data in the secondary memory, as we are storing the data in the main memory, like virtual memory is also a storage scheme. Will it be available? No. Virtual, in the sense, the name itself indicates it is an illusion of having a very big main memory. But this memory actually doesn't reside in the system. But what we are going to do is we are creating an illusion that we are having a huge amount of main memory at our side. So this is done. How this is done, in the sense, this is done by treating a part of secondary memory as a main memory. So that is the actual concept of virtual memory. For example, as we are discussing the memory management concepts, like as we know, main memory is small, which can accommodate only few instructions in the main memory. Whereas when it comes to the secondary memory can accommodate many number of instructions. So when we have seen in the paging concept, what we are going to do, suppose if an operating system, if a CPU generates a logical address of some logical address, so what we are going to do is we'll be going to convert that logical address into physical address, so that then we'll be going to store the pages onto the frames. So in the same manner, what we are going to do is, like here in the virtual memory, so when a CPU generated a logical address, so that logical address is also known as virtual address, right? So that logical address or virtual address should be translated to physical address. So physical address is the reference address to the main memory, as we have discussed it already. Fine. So in this scheme, what the user is going to do is user can load the big size process than the available main memory. So like having an illusion that there is a lots of space at our side, he is going to have an that illusion. So this is the brief idea regarding the virtual memory. So what I am trying to say is, so virtual memory is nothing but actually that memory is not there. But what we are going to have is we are creating an illusion that we are having a huge amount of memory at our side. So that the illusion how we are going to provide, in the sense, instead of storing all the programs, suppose in the secondary memory, I'll be showing you. Suppose this is the diagram. So here in this diagram, here in the secondary memory, we are having um, uh, some A, B, C processes. So we are having three processes A, B, C, and this A process consists of 5 pages. Fine. A process is divided into 5 pages. These 5 pages should be loaded onto frames, right? Fine. This is the concept what we are going to do. So how this is going to done, in the sense, by making use of memory management unit or memory map unit, what we'll be going to do is how we are converting this virtual address. So this virtual memory consists of virtual address, or we can also say it as a logical address. So this logical address is converted to physical address. How we are going to convert, in the sense, by making use of memory management unit. What this memory management unit will do, it is going to maintain a page table. So as we have seen already, it will be going to maintain a page table. So what do you mean by a page table, in the sense, like you will be going to have the frame number and the page number. Frame number, in the sense, in physical memory what it actually resides, page number in the sense second memory. So this is how we'll be going to translate the logical address into virtual address. So what is the main concept of this virtual memory? In the sense, suppose if you are see here, this virtual memory is larger. So here I have specified that virtual memory is larger than this physical memory. So this main memory is the smaller one and the virtual memory is the larger one. So we are having that illusion. Actually, this virtual memory is not there. We are having an illusion that we are having a huge amount of memory at our side. Actually, what it is going to do is, suppose A, B, C processes are there. So previously, what we'll be going to do? Suppose if CPU wants generate some sixth instruction, in the sense, if that sixth instruction is present in A process, the whole A process is going to be loaded onto the main memory. Whole A process is going to be loaded continuously. So now what we are going to do is, if CPU is looking for sixth instruction, in the sense, even though that sixth instruction is present in A process, we are not going to transfer all the pages of A process onto the main memory. We are transferring whatever the page that is required by the CPU. Now the CPU is in need of sixth page. So we are going to transfer that sixth page onto the main memory. Not all pages are going to be transferred. Suppose if C process is having three pages, one, two, three pages. If suppose a CPU generates a logical address of third page, previously what we are going to do, we are going to load all the three pages over here continuously, 1 2 3 pages, so which is going to be unnecessarily. So by making use of locality of reference concept, we will be going to load the pages. What is the concept of locality of reference? Locality of reference, in the sense, suppose if the for example, today we have called for your project reviews. So when we have called for the project reviews for your seniors, we are calling one by one, roll number one, batch two, batch three, like that. If I'm calling fourth batch, in the sense, fifth batch will be getting ready. Why? Because after fourth batch, fifth batch has to come. So before that batch, third batch. So locality of reference, in the sense, expecting the next one. So that we call it as a locality of reference. So by taking the concept of locality of reference, so we are going to load, even though the CPU was in need of third page, we are loading all the three pages onto the main memory. But when it comes to the virtual memory concept, what we are going to do is, instead of loading all the three pages onto the main memory, what we are going to do, we are storing, or we are loading only the required page that is needed by the CPU at that present instance of time. So that is how we'll be going to have the degree of multi-programming more over here. So degree of multi-programming is going to be high in virtual memory. Why? Because instead of loading all the three pages, we have loaded only one page. In this page, we can load another process second page. In this, we can load another process sixth page. Like that, many of the processes can be loaded onto the main memory, creating an illusion that the main memory is much larger enough to accommodate all the processes required by the CPU. So this is the actual concept of virtual memory. Now we'll be going to looking into the theory. So here, what are the objectives of this is, here we'll be going to describe the benefits of virtual memory, and we'll be going to explain, or we'll be going to see the concept of demand paging, and in the next video we'll be going to see the page replacement algorithms. Fine, these are the objectives of this virtual memory. So what do you mean by a virtual memory? Separation of user's logical memory from physical memory. So user's logical memory from physical memory, in the sense, physical memory is the main memory, logical memory is the secondary memory. So it is going to separate the logical memory from the main memory. So here, as I have said you before, only a part of the program needs to be in the main memory for execution. Previously, if suppose a process A contains 1 2 3 pages, if CPU generated a logical address of third instruction, in the sense, suppose the CPU needs third instruction. This third instruction falls on process A. So in the main memory, what it will be going to happen? 1, 2, 3. The process A contains 3 pages, so all the 3 pages are going to be loaded onto the main memory, which consumes unnecessary space. Now, with this virtual memory concept, as the CPU needs a third page, instead of loading 1, 2, 3 pages, we are loading only the third page, so that this third page is of A process, and here we can fill some X process value, here we can fill some B process value. So these places can be used by other processes. But when you have seen over here, here the whole space is consumed by the A process only, which is unnecessarily wasting of user space. So in order to eliminate that one, so virtual memory, what it is doing is, what actually needed, that process is going to be loaded onto the main memory. So here two spaces are left. These spaces can be used by any other process. So this is the concept. So by seeing that, so the part of a program needs to be in the main memory, not the whole program can't be. Suppose if a program consists of addition, subtraction and multiplication, these are the modules. If CPU wants the addition, in the sense we load only the addition module onto the main memory, but not the subtraction and the multiplication. So this is what I meant to say. So logical address space can therefore be much larger than the physical address space. Yeah, actually it's true. Why? Because previously we can store only the A process pages. Here we have stored the A process pages, X process pages and B process pages. So degree of multi-programming is going to be very, very high when we are going to talk in this virtual memory. So allows more efficient process creation. So number of processes can be accommodated onto the main memory. So less IO needed to load or swap processes. So we require less IO processes to swap the processes. So what is a virtual address space? Virtual address space is nothing but a virtual address is the logical view of how process is stored into the memory. As I have said you, it is going to store continuously from 0 till the end of the space. So meanwhile, what it will be going to do is, this physical memory is going to be organized into frames. And actually the important thing is, this virtual memory can be implemented by making use of demand paging and demand segmentation. So we are totally concentrating on demand paging. So we'll be going to see what is a demand paging. Fine. Hope you got the concept of virtual memory. So virtual memory is nothing but it is an illusion that we had a large amount of memory at our side. Actually, that space is not there. So how we are going to create an illusion, in the sense, instead of loading the whole program onto the main memory, now what we are going to load here, we are loading the exact need of the processor only, so that we can give space for remaining processes to get loaded onto the main memory. By making use of this, we can increase the degree of multi-programming to a next level. So this is how the virtual memory is a very much advantageous. Fine. So this is how we'll be going to see why virtual memory is larger than physical memory, in the sense, as I have said you, it is an illusion. How we are going to create an illusion? By storing or loading the exact process what we are in need of onto the main memory, we are creating an illusion that logical address space or virtual address space is larger than the physical address space. So now here we comes the important concept, which is known as demand paging. So as the name itself suggests, demand paging. So paging, in the sense, what we have seen in the paging concept, paging in the sense like what we have seen, suppose this is the secondary memory. The secondary memory is divided into equal size blocks called pages, and main memory is divided into equal size blocks called frames. Fine. Paging, I'm telling regarding the paging concept. So demand paging, so I'm telling the paging concept. What do you mean by paging? In the sense, here the secondary memory is divided into equal size blocks called pages, and the main memory is divided into equal size blocks called frames. Here what is the condition I have said you before? Here the frame size should be equal to the page size, so that a page can be directly loaded onto a particular frame. If the two sizes sizes are different, what the things we are going to get, we are having the internal fragmentation. Internal fragmentation in the sense leftover spaces, we call it as an internal fragmentation. So in order to, like, that is another concept already we have seen. Just go through that video once if you need any of clarity, fine. So here what I mean to, or what I'm stressing is paging in the sense, like, secondary memory is divided into pages and the main memory is divided into frames. So what we want to do is we have to keep the pages onto the frames. So so for that reason, what we are maintaining is the frame size should be equals to the page size. So what do you mean by a demand paging? So what do you mean by a demand paging in the sense, suppose here the CPU generated one logical address. CPU generated a logical address. So this CPU is asking for CPU is asking for suppose a seventh page. CPU is asking for seventh page. That seventh page is in program A, but seventh page has not been loaded onto the main memory. So what do you mean by demand paging in the sense? Suppose if CPU is asking for X instruction and this X instruction is not present in the main memory, this is the secondary memory. CPU asked for X instruction. So this instruction is not in the main memory. So if it is not in the main memory, then what we call it as a page fault. We call as a page fault. Page fault is nothing but whatever the CPU is searching for a particular instruction, that instruction is not present in the main memory, then we call it as a page fault. So what is a page fault? What are the steps we are going to have in a page fault? We will be going to see further. So demand paging in the sense, so what I mean to say is CPU is asking for X instruction and that X instruction is not present in the main memory. So now what we are going to do is we are demanding a page for this page. X page is in the secondary memory. We are demanding a page from secondary memory to the main memory. On demand, we are transferring this page from secondary memory to the main memory. See here, so how we will be going to transfer? So this swap in and swap out process, as we have seen in before. So if a page is not in the main memory, we have to get that page from the secondary memory to the main memory. So how we will be going to get that process from secondary memory to the main memory? By making the concept of swapping concept. The processes which are not utilized for a much amount of time, that process is going to be deleted from the main memory. I mean swapping out of the main memory and giving space for the process to be that is requested by the CPU. So that is called the swapping concept. So here, so that is the demand paging. Demand paging in the sense, on demand we are getting a page from secondary memory to the main memory. So could bring an entire process in a main memory at a low time, or bring a page into the memory only when it is needed. So only when it is needed, only on demand, when it is needed only, we are transferring a page from secondary memory to the main memory. So what is the advantages of this demand in the sense? These are the advantages. Less IO needed, less memory needed, fast response you will be going to have, more number of programs we can accommodate in the main memory. Similar to paging, like we'll be going to have a swapping concept, that is swap in swap out. The process which are not utilized for a long time, that is going to be swapped out of the main memory, and the process which is going to be needed by the CPU, that is going to be swapped in from the secondary memory. So that we'll be going to call it as a swapping. So when a page is needed, a reference to it, so we'll be going to have in paging concept we have seen that we are maintaining a page table, right? In paging concept we have seen that we are maintaining a page table. What is a page table? Here frame number will be there, page number will be there. So in which page which frame has been loaded, that information will be going to get from the page table. So in this page table, suppose if a page is present, second page is present in the frame 6, so then it is a valid. If that particular page is not present, then we say that it is an invalid bit. Fine. So if a page is present, suppose what I mean to say is, here a process A is there. A is having 1 2 3 pages. So here this is the page table we are having. Fine. So here page table, this is, here instead of having 1 2 3, we are having only the third process. A third process is there. So as the process is there in that page table, we are making it as a valid in the sense the third page is present in the main memory. And here second page is not there. So when we are looking for the second page, we keep it as an invalid bit. And first page is also not there, we keep it as an invalid bit. So what is a valid and invalid bit will say you is, whatever the CPU is asking for a particular page, if that page is present in the main memory, we make it as a valid bit. Valid bit is going to be represented by V. If a particular page is not there in the main memory, we say that it is an invalid bit. When it is an invalid bit, then we say it as a page fault. Page fault in the sense the particular page what we are searching for is not there in the main memory. So that we call it as a page fault. So what do you mean by lazy swapper in the sense? It's never swaps a page into the main memory unless we are in need of that page. So that we call it as a lazy swapper. Swapper that deals with the pages is a pager. So this is how a demand paging concept is going to be working. So here what are the basic concept in the sense, like by making use of a swapping, we'll be going to make in and out of the thing. So if the page is not there in the main memory, we'll be going to take the concept of demand paging, and we'll be going to make the page from secondary memory to the main memory. So here we'll be going to see here, here the frame number is there and valid bit and invalid bit is there. If V indicates it is a valid bit and I indicates it is an invalid bit. If a bit is invalid, then we go for the, what we'll go for? Here we'll go for the demand paging. So if we are in require of that particular page, then we go for this demand paging. So this is how, when some pages are not in the main memory, when the demand paging is comes, that here we'll be going to see clearly. So here this is the secondary memory. Fine. This is the secondary memory. And physical memory in the sense it is the main memory. So this is the logical memory. So here it is a page table. Here what are the processes? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. These are the processes we are having. Fine. Here valid, invalid bit. Page table in the sense like which page loaded onto which frame. So these are the pages and these are the frame numbers. Fine. Which page has loaded onto which frame? Here A page has been loaded onto fourth frame. Fine. Like that we'll be going to check over here. See here. Here when we are going to see the page table, in page table what are the pages are there, what are the frames are there, that information we'll be going to keep. So page table in the sense here A, here A is in fourth frame. Fine. A is in fourth frame. So here we are writing the frame number. Fourth frame, this A. A in the sense 0. So here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the logical memory. So here 7 pages are there. So we are writing all the things, and in 0th page we have loaded A1. So A in the sense A is in which frame? Fourth frame. So 4 we have written. And next one. So here C is in, where the C is in? C is in second page we have loaded C. But C is in which frame? Sixth frame. So sixth frame we have loaded. And next one. So we'll be going to have uh, F. So F is in fifth page. So F is in which frame number? Ninth frame number. So out of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H pages, only A, C, F pages are there. Only A page is there, C page is there, and F page is there. So as these pages are there in the main memory, we are keeping a valid, and valid. For the B, D, E, G, H, we are making it as an invalid. Invalid in the sense that page is not in the main memory. So this is how we'll be, when the page is not in the main memory, we'll go for the demand paging concept. So which page we are in need of. Now if you want to have a now if we want to have a D page, so D in the sense like we'll be going to see here zero at the page, like here we are writing the page number. So zero at A. A is in which frame? Fourth frame. Suppose we'll be going to have a ninth, fine, or we'll be going to have a six. So 6 in the sense like this is the page number. Suppose if you are writing in the sense 6 in the sense we are have to write a G. G is in 12th frame number. So 12th frame number in the sense what is the G where it is located over here? 6. In 6 we have to write 12. Like this we'll be going to have pages that are there in the page table. In this page table whatever the pages that are present we are going to mark it as a valid, and whichever the pages that are not present we are going to make it as an invalid. So this is the use of valid and invalid bit. Page fault in the sense when the required page is not there in the main memory, like here if you have seen the pages 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. These pages are not there in the main memory. So here I is an invalid. When the page is invalid, we'll be going for the page fault. When a page fault occurs, then we'll be going to get this page from secondary memory to the main memory. So by making use of invalid bit, we'll be going to know that the page is not there in the main memory. So what the when a page fault is occurring, what the procedure we'll be going to follow, this here we'll be going to see here. So the first one is suppose a CPU generated a logical address. CPU generated a logical address. So this logical address is not there in the main memory. So here this CPU generated a logical address. This is the first step. And this logical address, this is the page table. As we have seen before in a page table, valid and invalid bit. So here it is an I. I in the sense invalid bit. Invalid in the sense now the control will transfer to the operating system. Till here CPU is generated, control is under CPU. CPU is generated a logical address. That address we have checked in the page table, but we find that that page is invalid. Invalid in the sense that page is not in the main memory. Then CPU will transfer its control to the operating system. When the control is transferred, the operating system generates a trap. So here it is trap is generating. When after the trap generated, the control will be hand over to the operating system. Now what the operating system will do is it will be going to check in the secondary memory, and after checking in the secondary memory, suppose here that X instruction is there, so it will be going to store onto the main memory. So where it will store, here it will be going to find a free frame. This X will be stored onto this free frame, and then it will be updated in the page table. Previously it is invalid. Now this invalid will becomes a valid. Valid in the sense now again the control will be going to the CPU. So this is the procedure in handling a page fault. Page fault in the sense, here one thing you have to remember is whenever a CPU generated a logical address, first we'll be going to check in the page table with that the page falls on which frame. Why? Because we are relating to the main memory. So if that page was not there, we say it as an I in the sense invalid. Invalid in the sense the particular page what we are looking for is not there in the main memory. Till now the control is with the CPU. Now what the CPU will do is it will generate a trap. trap in the sense that page was not there. When a trap is generated, the control will be handled by the operating system. What the operating system will do is it will be going to check in the secondary memory for that particular page. Okay, operating system got that X page. Now it has to keep that X onto the main memory. Where it will keep it, operating system will check for free space, any free spaces are there in order to fit that X instruction. Okay, operating system got X instruction and it has fitted that X instruction onto the free frame. Now what we have to do is we have to update it in the page table. Before it was an invalid bit. Now the operating system has loaded that particular instruction onto the memory. Now it is a valid bit. After bit is valid, now the control is transferred from operating system to the processor, and then the processor is going to check in the page table. Then it is a valid bit, so it will be going to take the information. So these are the steps that we are going to handle in the page fault. So what is the performance of demand paging in the sense? Trap to the operating system, demand paging, demand when the page is going to be loaded in the sense, as I have said you, trap to the operating system, save the user's registers and processor state. Then an interrupt was generated that a page fault has occurred. So all these steps we have to consider when we are going for the page fault or a demand paging. What happens if there is no free frame? Suppose here previously we have seen that here a free frame is available. See here a free frame is available, so that we have kept the X instruction in the free frame. Suppose this free frame is not available, what we have to do? What we have to do in the sense, like we have to use a page replacement algorithms. Here comes the concept of page replacement algorithm. So if a free frame is there, you can keep that page, demanded page, onto the free space. If a free space was not there, we have to keep, we have to maintain, or we have to make space for that process. How will be going to maintain in the sense? By making use of page replacement algorithms. By making use of swapping concept, we have done now, we are removing one process from the main memory and giving space to the new process. Likewise, which process we have to remove from the main memory, that this page replacement algorithms will say. So here we are having three different majorly page replacement algorithms. First one is FIFO, next one is LRU, next one is optimal. These are the three important page replacement algorithms we'll be going to have. So based on that page replacement algorithm, which replacement algorithm we have to use, based on that the page is going to be replaced with the new page. So this concept occurs when there is a no free frame. If there is a free frame, no problem, this operating system will allocate the particular X instruction onto the free frame. Now I am talking about if there is a no free frame. If there is a no free frame, now we have to make space for the new process. How we are going to decide which process to remove in the sense? By making use of page replacement algorithms. Page replacement algorithms in the sense like first in, first out, LIFO, I mean optimal, and we'll be going to have least recently used, LRU. In short, we can say it as an LRU. By making use of these three page replacement algorithms, we'll be going to remove one process from the main memory and we are giving a space for the new process. So this is how when there is a no free frame is going to. So page replacement algorithms in the sense like we'll be going to have the page fault to be modified and the dirty bit or thing is going to be done. So that is about a page replacement algorithms. We'll be going to see clearly in the next video regarding those page replacement algorithms. And another important concept is thrashing. So what do you mean by thrashing? So after page replacement algorithms, you will be going to understand what thrashing is. So thrashing is nothing but, so here we are maintaining a pages over here, fine, we are maintaining a pages in the main memory. Suppose here only my process is having suppose a process is having 50 pages, but here the main memory accommodate can accommodate only 10 pages. So here 2 6 14 24 26 like that, So only 10 pages are there. What do you mean by thrashing? In the sense, suppose if CPU generated 47th instruction, so this 47th instruction is not there in the main memory, then it is a page fault. Page fault in the sense what the procedure we have seen earlier. So this procedure, page fault in the sense this procedure we have to go and we have to get that 47 page from this secondary memory to the main memory, and then we have to update a valid invalid bit. Like this the procedure we have to follow. So if more page faults are there, page faults, if more page faults are there, then the system is busy in page faults only. Instead of doing the task, the system is busy in doing this page faults only. So the page fault in the sense taking the instructions from the removing the instructions from the main memory if there are no free slots, taking the instructions from the secondary memory to the main memory, so swapping everything, the unnecessary things is going to be done, wasting time more on that instead of doing the exact task. So spending much time on this unnecessary work, we call it as a thrashing. Thrashing is a process, is busy swapping. So here you can see thrashing is nothing but a process is busy swapping. Instead of doing the actual task, instead of doing the actual work, the processor is very much busy in swapping. So when we'll be going for this swapping in the sense when the page fault occurs. So when the page fault occurs, so the processor is going to do a swapping. So if there are more page faults, if there are, when thrashing will occur in the sense if there are more page faults, then thrashing is going to occur. So this is a important question which we can expect for a short answer. So that is the thrashing. So thrashing in the sense degree of multi-programming is getting, CPU utilization is going to be reduced. Why? Because instead of doing the much and much more work, it is going to waste the time on busy swapping. So this is how we can say it as swapping is thrashing is nothing but a busy swapping. So that condition we call it as a thrashing. This is how the virtual memory concept is going to be implemented. So virtual memory is nothing but it is a memory which we are going to make an illusion that a large memory at our side. How we are making that illusion? In the sense like instead of taking all the pages from the secondary memory to the main memory, like we are taking the page which are in need of, exactly in need of the processor. Instead of taking the all the pages by making use of legality of reference, what we are going to do is we are taking the process which are exactly in need of the CPU, so that we can give space for different processes for different pages. So the user will be having an illusion that even though the main memory is small, we are allocating or we are accommodating these many pages. So obviously what we'll think, so the main memory is large enough to do all our tasks, but the thing is main memory is small when compared with the secondary memory. But how we are going to do all the tasks in the sense by making the concept of virtual memory. So this virtual memory uses a concept of demand paging, that you have to note it down. So virtual memory make a user concept of demand paging. Demand paging in the sense whenever a page is needed, then only that page will be brought from secondary memory to the main memory. Unnecessarily we will not get the pages from secondary memory to the main memory. On demand we are getting the pages from secondary memory to the main memory. This is how the virtual memory concept is going to be handled. So that's all for today's class. Thank you all students. Have a nice day.